Hello and welcome to another my neurotypical neurodiverse married video, hence why we shorten it to NT and ND. There was a video I saw posted in a group that I thought was worthy of discussion, primarily because it's curious and I'm not sure that all of us would have straightforward yes or no answers. So the video was this guy asking these 5 simple questions about your relationship, and if you answer no to any of them, then it's a poor relationship that you shouldn't be in. So I'm going to read those 5 questions out and just have a chat about how they relate to me, and then you can have a chat below about how it relates to you. So first question. If someone said you're a lot like your partner, would this be a compliment to you? Kind of depends. For the most part, I would say no. He's too high-strung, stressed, critical, and in those days when he had those real sort of anger management issues, I definitely would have hated to be told I'm like him. Yet on the flip side, he's really quite proactive, an action man, and he gets stuff done, whereas I sort of falter in that way. And to be honest, I think that I falter a lot because he's been in my world telling me I can't do things. So now when it comes to me doing things, I sort of have this kind of anxiety and panic about stuff. So I do kind of wish I was a bit more like him, action man, just getting up and getting stuff done. And there are certain parts of his personality that are pretty cool, like he's a workaholic and I'm lazy. So, I mean, when I work, I'm always just head down, bum up. I don't like to talk at work, I don't like to fluff around, I don't like to stand around the water cooler having a 30-minute conversation. I like to work, it's why I'm there. But I don't work as hard as him. I mean, I do when I'm working, but at home, not so much. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, I just think he's more go-get-em than I am, which is really kind of ironic considering usually people on the spectrum are not known for being that way. So, on the other sort of hand, I used to say to him, hey, you're a lot like your dad, and that would bother him. Because his dad is also critical and aggro and stuff. So he didn't like being referred to that, you know. Anyway, question number 2. Are you truly fulfilled or just less lonely? Ooh. This one is really, well, it kind of hits home, really. Fulfilled? Yeah. There are some parts of my life that are just going gangbusters, and there are a lot of parts that are sort of not. So I would say that I'm just less lonely. I have moments of loneliness, big loneliness, even when he's around. We've lost a lot of friends over the years and things, so that doesn't help. But yeah, I find that having him around as company means that I'm less lonely, so I would say that I'm definitely less lonely and not fulfilled. Number 3. Are you able to be unapologetically yourself, or do you feel the need to show up differently to please your partner? This is a really curious one, because right from the start we've been ourselves around each other. I mean, the only sort of way to really put this as kind of inappropriate and gross as this topic is about to get. You know, some people won't sort of pass wind in front of their partners because, like, how embarrassment, right? we can do that, you know, like you accidentally bend this way and something comes out, you know, like I said, TMI, I apologise. But I can be that way around him. So I can be myself in that regard. I can be like sick in front of him, like morning sickness, and just go running to the toilet and you know, he's not batting an eyelid. I can have a bad breakout, which I do on occasion, and he's like, you know. I can wear my pajamas all day, like I do sometimes. I can get up and have a mad, crazy hairdo day, you know, like the hair just unruly. So I can be myself in that regard. But at the same time, I did feel like I needed to change who I was, or not so much change who I was. Because again, if we go back to the housework saga, where he was always telling me that I wasn't keeping good enough house, and I knew I was, well, I definitely was trying to be all that for him, like trying to prove to him that I'm good enough, and see, I've done this job, and see, I've done that job, and look how good it is, and it's kind of better than what you do, you know, whisper, whisper. But so it's kind of a little bit of both. Like I try to be more tame around him, less bubbly outside of the house. Around the house, he doesn't care how silly and jokey I am, but outside of the house, he feels that other people will find my jovialness annoying. Strange, but anyway. So it's a little bit of yes and no there. Yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint. Like, I like the fact that he's kind of unjudgy about my appearance. Like, even when I'm having a mad bad breakout, he doesn't say, whoa, you look terrible. He just kind of plods along. I'm the one dying of embarrassment thinking, man, I'm too old for this. And he's like, eh. So I kind of feel like I can be myself, and we can both kind of be ourselves. I feel like that's kind of the thing that really struck us in the beginning, was that we could. Like, he's kind of fairly accepting in that way. But yeah, there are certain aspects where I do have to sort of curb behaviour, behave, do things a little bit differently. Yeah, it's an interesting one. How about you? Question number 4. Are you in love with who your partner is right now as a whole, or are you only in love with that good side, their potential, or the idea of them? Ooh. This is a really hard one to kind of admit out loud. I mean, he knows I make these videos. He doesn't watch these videos. I wouldn't really want to say this to him, but I'm not in love with him. I love him as a person, as a fellow human being. I wouldn't want anything to happen to him. I don't like to see him or anyone suffer. But yeah, in love, him as a whole, I mean, I guess this maybe goes with all people. Maybe it's not just a neurotypical, neurodiverse thing. There are going to be things that you love about your partner and things you don't. Like random things, like he's a really noisy eater. I don't know how he does it. But he's a really noisy eater. And our son, who's on the spectrum, can't stand sounds of any kind when he's eating. Like if you're talking with your mouth full, if you're breathing funny while you're eating, you know, these things bother him. So he sits away from the table now because his dad's just kind of noisy. But I mean, that's not something I dislike about him. It's just something that's there, but I wouldn't say I love that about him. Yeah, for me, this is a really hard one. Because there are things about him that I do love, like, appreciate, respect. But yeah, I would definitely say that I don't feel in love, and that I probably haven't felt that for a long time. There would have been one too many insults that just put me right off and killed things for me in that regard. But I'm still respectful and nice towards him. So I guess the answer to that is I love the good parts of him. Yeah. Anyway, question number 5. Would you want your future or imagined child to date or end up with someone like your partner? I say date or end up because the question was date, but in the end you end up with them. Like, that's the theory, the principle. And they could do worse, to be honest. They could do worse. So my oldest child ended up with a partner that was similar to my husband. They found that they couldn't really connect. Nice person, no sort of real major conflicts, just more quiet. You couldn't get an in-depth kind of thing going there. And my son, being like me, neurotypical, he likes those really in-depth, nitty-gritty, deep conversations. And he couldn't get that from his partner. Now, I'm not saying that she was on the spectrum, although from things that she's told me about her family, it's clear that it is in her family. I haven't said that to her, of course. I just observed and noticed. And he did end that relationship, and I felt sad because I liked her as a person, but I could understand why he wanted something more, because I've been craving something more. When that particular son comes to visit and we just talk and talk and talk and get along like a house on fire, whenever he leaves, because he's since moved out of home, I always feel really empty because I really miss that conversation. And I don't have that in my ordinary life without him. So he did kind of end up with somebody like my husband, and he ended the relationship. And I'm glad for him now. He's got a better relationship and things are booming. But in answer to the question, would I want my children to end up with somebody like my partner? It depends what aspects we're talking about, because if it was the anger, no, not at all. My sister was really bothered by my husband's anger when she sort of realised that I was in this relationship and this sort of stuff was going on. She felt really bad for me, obviously, and wanted more for me, better for me. Even now, you know, she still sort of sees that there's that emptiness and she wishes that I had more. So I would want more for my children. But that being said, with my son who's on the spectrum, I don't know what kind of relationship he would end up with anyway. I would want somebody who's respectful, who's not abusive, who's not a bully, who's not a gambler, who's not a cheater. I mean, the list is long. And these are things that my husband isn't. So he's not a gambler, a cheater. He doesn't watch pornography. He's good with money. He did have his verbally abusive streak, which he's kind of squashed somehow at the moment, which yay. So yeah, for me that's a hard question. I guess I would want them to be fulfilled and happy. And if they met somebody like my husband, maybe that couldn't happen for them, I don't know. So yeah, interesting. Well, over to you. What's your answers to these questions? Are any of them yes, a lot of them no, vice versa? And do you find, like me, that there's kind of tricky bits within the questions? Like, they're not a clear-cut answer. You can't just say yes or no straight away. I mean, had somebody asked me in the midst of our stupid housework saga thing where he was just criticising all the time, meltdown central, always aggro, always moody, always chucking a tantrum about something, the answer to the last question would have been 100% no. I don't want anyone to be in this situation. I don't even want to be in this situation. But now that he's calmer, it's better, so it's hard to say. Anyway, over to you. Comment below, love to hear from you, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it.